They're not undead. They don't shamble. They run. They scream. And they don't stop until you're either infected or dead. The infected from 28 days later aren't your typical horror movie monsters. They're alive, just not human anymore. Infected by a virus so fast and brutal, it takes over in seconds. They're the embodiment of pure, uncontrollable rage. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about these terrifying creatures, from where they came from to how the rage virus works, to the horrifying ways the infected have evolved over time. We'll get into their biology, their behavior, what drives them, and yes, even the few things that might actually stop them. Strap in, because this isn't a zombie story. This is something much worse. The birth of the rage virus. The rage virus was engineered at the Cambridge Primate Research Centre in the UK, where scientists were attempting to isolate and contain aggression in chimpanzees. The intention? To study and possibly cure human violence, but instead of peace, they created a weapon by directly manipulating the amygdala, responsible for emotion and fear. The researchers accidentally developed a virus that turned test subjects into vessels of blind, seething rage. Once unleashed, rage spread through chimpanzee test subjects and into the human population during a break-in by animal rights activists. Within days, the outbreak spiraled out of control. Infection and transmission. So how exactly does the rage virus spread? Well, here's the terrifying part. It's not airborne, but it doesn't need to be. All it takes is a single drop of infected blood or saliva. That means a bite, a scratch, getting vomited on, or even a splash of blood in your eye is enough to seal your fate. And the scariest part? It works fast. We're talking 10 to 30 seconds tops. 1 second you're fine, and the next, you're convulsing and screaming as the virus takes over. The symptoms hit like a freight train. Victims feel like they're burning from the inside out. Their bodies start spasming uncontrollably. Blood starts pouring from their eyes, nose, mouth, basically every hole on their face. Their eyes go blood red, and before you know it, they're vomiting infected blood and screaming like something out of a nightmare. It's not a slow decline. It's an instant, violent transformation. One moment they're human. The next, they're a living, breathing weapon powered by pure rage. Physical transformation. The infected suffer massive internal hemorrhaging. Blood vessels rupture, forcing them to vomit blood regularly, often directly onto victims, spreading the virus further. Their eyes turn bloodshot or entirely red, and muscle spasms affect their posture and movements. While these symptoms look grotesque, they also serve a terrifying purpose. The infected become fast, strong, and relentless. They lose all sense of pain, which makes them nearly impossible to stop without killing them outright. Shot in the leg, they'll crawl. Set on fire, they'll keep running until their bodies give out. This is what makes them so terrifying. They don't just attack, they never stop.
While the last survivor we came across was over 2 months.
Behavioral patterns. The infected basically have two modes, and trust me, both are terrifying in their own way. First, when there's an uninfected person nearby, it's like flipping a switch. Full rage mode kicks in. They start screaming, snarling, sprinting. Absolutely zero hesitation. Fire, bullets, even other infected in the way, they don't care. They'll tear through anything just to get to their target. But when there's no one around to hunt, it's a whole different story. They kind of shut down. Some just lie there, completely still, sometimes even among piles of corpses, almost like they're in sleep mode, just waiting. The second they hear a sound or spot movement though, it's game on all over again. And here's the eerie part. When they're not active, they actually start to waste away. No food, no water, and their bodies just can't keep up with the constant stress and damage. Without a target to chase, the virus doesn't give them a reason to keep going, and their bodies begin to break down. Intelligence and memory. At first glance, the infected seem mindless, but that's not the full story. They retain spatial awareness and basic navigation skills. They'll find their way through buildings, climb obstacles, break down doors, and hunt through streets. While they can't form complex plans, they do remember routes and locations, particularly if they've just seen an uninfected person move there. But what about memory? In most cases, the virus completely wipes higher cognitive function. Infected don't recognize friends or family, but there are notable exceptions. Donald Harris, infected during 28 weeks later, displayed fragmentary memories of his wife and children. After hearing their voices, he momentarily paused, as if recognizing them, but this only seemed to intensify his aggression. Instead of stopping him, his memories drove him to attack with even greater fury. Another infected, Wiza, showed short-term memory retention. Moments after being infected, he retraced his steps through a building back to 2 uninfected children. This shows that while long-term memory might be lost, the virus doesn't completely erase recent events.
It's incredibly important that they are kept protected. I need to get them out of here.
Evolution of the virus. Initially, the rage virus was a death sentence for both victim and host. The infected couldn't eat, drink, or care for themselves. They ran on rage alone until their bodies collapsed. By the end of 28 days later, most infected had died from starvation or dehydration within 4 weeks. But in 28 years later, everything changes. The virus evolves. New strains emerge, creating more intelligent, more terrifying infected. Now some infected eat, they drink, they hunt animals, they even cook food. One infected grabs a cooked fish before attacking his target. Others dig up worms and insects. A few are bloated and slow, but somehow survive far longer than earlier, infected due to their newfound ability to self-nourish. This shift makes rage far more dangerous. The infected are no longer just suicide bombers of violence, they're survivors. One of the most terrifying evolutions is the emergence of alphas, super strong, infected with increased durability. The alpha named Samson could rip off heads with his bare hands and withstand arrows and bullets without slowing down. His body was so enhanced by rage that even a morphine blow dart only sedated him for a few minutes. Senses and night activity. The infected have heightened senses, especially vision. Even a single candle in a dark room is enough to alert nearby infected. Their night vision is exceptional. While uninfected humans need goggles or torches in dark environments, infected navigate with ease. They are hypersensitive to sound and motion. Once alerted, they can chase a target relentlessly for minutes or hours. But interestingly, if they lose visual or auditory contact, they may give up and redirect toward closer, more accessible prey. Weaknesses. Let's be real. The infected don't have a lot of weaknesses, but the few they do have, they're weird, inconsistent, and mostly just barely helpful. First up, malnutrition. Early on, the infected didn't eat or drink. They were too far gone, just running on rage until their bodies gave out. Most of them died within a few weeks. But now, some newer strains have evolved. They hunt, they eat, they even drink water when they can. It's made them a lot harder to wait out. Then there's their total ignorance of pain. Yeah, it makes them scarier, like you shoot one in the leg and it still comes at you. But it's also a downside. They don't stop to heal. If something's broken or bleeding out, they'll push through it until they literally collapse. Self-preservation doesn't exist. They don't duck, dodge, or run from danger. They'll charge into gunfire, flames, gas, you name it. They're so focused on killing that staying alive isn't even on their radar. Now here's a weird one, iodine. According to a guy named Kelson, who's basically a rage virus survivalist, the infected actually avoid iodine. He covers his skin in it, like cologne. Is it true? Maybe. But if you're desperate, it might be worth a shot. And lastly, morphine. If you hit them with enough of it, it can calm them down for a minute or two. Not a cure, obviously, but it can buy you just enough time to get out of there or finish the job. So yeah, they're not invincible, but good luck exploiting any of these when they're sprinting at you covered in blood and screaming like demons. A breeding threat. Perhaps the most disturbing evolution of all is the possibility that infected can breed. And 28 years later, a pregnant infected woman gives birth to what appears to be a healthy, uninfected baby. What does this mean for the future? Could a generation of children be born immune? Or will some inherit the rage virus in a dormant form? The implications are terrifying. If the virus can pass genetically, or if infected can survive for years, it transforms rage from an outbreak into a permanent threat.
My children!
A virus that changed the apocalypse. The rage virus turned the 28 Days Later universe into one of the most realistic and horrifying apocalyptic scenarios ever seen. It's not just the speed of infection or the brutality of the victims, it's the idea that this isn't death. This is transformation. Victims aren't lost to a slow infection. They're explosively converted into monsters within seconds. Loved ones become enemies in a blink. Every drop of blood is a loaded gun. Every cough is a potential apocalypse. And now, decades later, the virus has grown, evolved, and adapted. It's smarter. It's stronger. It can survive. The infected are no longer mindless killers on borrowed time. They're hunters. They're adaptable. They're still coming. Our nerdy thoughts. That's the complete breakdown of the infected from the 28 Days Later universe. From their gruesome birth in a lab to their horrifying evolution into something even worse than zombies. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Could the rage virus spread outside the UK? What do you think the next stage of evolution might look like? Thanks for watching. And remember, if you see a single drop of blood, it might already be too late. Like, subscribe, and stay safe out there.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.